parler de Marc. J'ai le plaisir d'accueillir Marc Menasé. Sophie Dingreville, bien sûr, et Nicolas Bordas. You say brand.
Il y a une petite annonce complémentaire pratique pour certaines personnes qui sont invitées, les guest stars pour être invités par François Hollande à l'Elysée tout à l'heure. Désolé, tout le monde n'est pas invité, mais pour ceux qui le sont, il y a des bus. Donc on a affrété des bus qui font la navette entre ici et l'Elysée. Donc notez ça et faites passer le mot. En scooter derrière Marc Menasé, ça marche aussi.
You said brands. So, as we all know, brands are intangible assets that represent an average 75% of the value of a company. And for the first time in the last 15 years, the biggest brand in the world is not Coca-Cola. The biggest brand in the world is Apple, and it's Google. In fact, digital is reshaping completely the game for brands, and in parallel, branding is essential for pure players. With me today, Nicolas Bordas, who is Vice President of TBWA Europe and President of Bain, and Marc Menasé, who is founder and President of Menlook. Nicolas, TBWA is the media agency of Apple.
Advertising agency, yes.
Of
not just media.
Of L'Oréal and other large accounts. How digital fuels the value of a brand?
I think that I would like to start by a kind of provocation with the crowd that is here, by asking a very simple question. You know that in terms of brand measuring, you've got three main institutes in the world. One is part of Omnicom, called Interbrand. Another one is part of WPP, it's called Brand Z. And another one is more independent from Communication Network, it's called Brand Finance. And believe it or not, they are quite in agreement in the way who is the first, who is the second. There is a minor difference, is that the Omnicom Institute says Apple is the first, and I would agree with it because TBWA is part of Omnicom and we are working for Apple. And there is something new, is that Brand Z, for the first time, said Google is the number one. But I would like to start with a question to the people who are here. Who has heard in the top 100 brand in the world of this famous brand called SWSJ? Obviously, nobody.
Nobody.
And it's very meaningful because this brand doesn't exist, and it should have been or could have been the name of Apple. Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak. Because in 1984, well, 82, because Macintosh was launched in 84, the rule for a company who was launching a computer was either to be a kind of acronym, IBM, International Business Machine, or the name of the founder, Dell, was born in 1984 with the name of the founder, Michael Dell. How come Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak decided to call it Apple? So great idea. Do you think the value of Apple would be exactly the same today if it was called SWSG? Perhaps, perhaps not, but with both founders leaving the company, do you imagine the effect when they left? Just to take this example, well, Michael Dell, it was a different story. I don't want to argue here with so many great people from Dell. Second question. Have you heard about another brand that was called Backup? Yeah, great. So somebody knows that Backup was the first idea that came to Google founders before decided to call Google Google. coming from, you know, the Google number, which is 11 and 1,000 or 100, I think it's 1,000, but I'm not so sure. This huge number, you know. So what a nice start. And today, both of those brands are number 1 and number 2, whatever the ranking in the world. So why I'm saying that? Because you have a lot of startups who believe that branding is the last thing they should do, they should think about. Even if they know what you said about 75% of a company asset is made of intangible assets, and 18% is coming from the brand itself. Even if you know that, you are not acting as if you were knowing it, meaning, oh, what will be my name? And so lucky to create a name that could be different from your own name. If you want your company to last longer than your own equity in your own company, even if you want to sell it later, it could be a good idea to help somebody to buy it because it's a great intangible asset different from your own name. And what would be a name? A name is never a problem, or is very rarely a problem. It's always an opportunity. So my message today is take this opportunity to start with the right name and branding. But of course, name is not enough. A brand, like I'm teaching at Sciences Po about branding, is made of 3 things. Identity, meaning or idea, purpose, call it the way you like, concept, and experience. So whatever way you take it, you can come to these 3 elements. Identity, name, brand identity, look and feel, idea, purpose, whatever you call it, concept, positioning, and the third one, experience. And to come now to your question, what has changed is that experience is becoming the key word. So, of course, you need to get the best name as possible. Of course, you need to give the meaning, because when you look at all the brands, part of the top 10, by far, they are the top companies in the world who've got the clearest key message, the clearest meaning. You can say, what is Apple fighting for? What is Google fighting for, about everybody getting the information the right way? What is Coca-Cola happiness standing for? So meaning is still, of course, the key, and the key of consistency. But what is changing is experience, because with the digital as the new normal, the experience is building much more the brand than ever. Of course, you could say, before internet, experience was very important. My experience of Tide, namely Ariel in France for detergent, or my experience of Pampers, or my experience of Danone, or whatever, is important to decide if I'm going to buy or not. But it was not that kind of experience I'm talking about today. The experience today is the product plus the service. And the app, the famous app, who is in this room who is building his company is not thinking about what will be the app, what will be the way to deliver the experience through the app, even if you are selling something different from an app, of course. If you are selling something that is useful for the people, this experience is changing everything. And that's why experience is key nowadays, and that's why Apple is very good at the consumer experience. Google is so good at the consumer experience with a so disruptive idea to have just one name on the white page and not a kind of conventional portal as it was when Google was launched. And Coca-Cola, with the number 3 in general in those rankings, has a so great experience in the way they are building their digital experience in addition to their, I would say, drinking / delivering experience. So experience is the new, I would say, goal to build brand, and that's why all those companies who have great experience are winning. So just to close this introduction, I want to illustrate that today because, as you know, cabs are on strike because of Uber and friends. By the way, it was so funny that Uber was sought in Paris because there was no cabs as usual. What is creating the value of the Uber brand? It's clearly the experience, it's not the advertising. Did you see any kind of advertising for Uber yet? One day they will need some advertising because to fight against competition, they will need some advertising. But it's not the Uber value, brand value is coming from this brand experience. Let's take the opposite. I'm a very good client of Hertz Rent-A-Car. I can demonstrate it, my platinum card that give me a car even if there's no car. The owner will give me his own car for me to get a car, at Hertz, which is great. On Friday morning, last Friday, I tried to book a car for Avignon in the south of France the same day. The guy on the phone told me, "Oh, sorry, your train is arriving at 11 p.m. We are closing at 10 p.m. I said, "No, it's impossible. I'm used to go there. It's always open after 10 p.m. No, I'm sure. I called." And the guy decided to lie to me. I called the guy in Avignon. I promised tonight they are closed. I was so surprised about it. So it was wrong, and I decided that I should find a way to tell people at Hertz that the guy was lying and to fire him, because I mean it was a problem. I had to rebook my train, whatever. I never found a way to tell I was unhappy with the Hertz. So the only way to do it is Twitter and creating some pressure through my Twitter feed. Second element, I was so happy on Monday night that Hertz sent me, for the first time in my life, the fact, "Oh, great, your invoice is available." I say, "Oh, great, the invoice is available online on Monday night. What a great progress." And I wanted to pay with my Visa card. "Oh, no, you have to send a check, and you cannot pay with your Visa card." So just tell you, Uber is winning because of that. Because companies as Hertz, even for loyal big clients, don't move in terms of customer experience. So my message is identity, idea, but experience.
Thank you, Nicolas. Marc, you've been a web entrepreneur for a decade. We all know that building a brand for a startup is essential. But where to put the right efforts to get return on your investment? Tell us.
This is a good question. Just to answer, Nicolas, it's very funny because our name is Menlook, and my last name is Menasé. So it begins with M-E-N. So last month, someone asked me, "Did you take Menlook because there is men inside your last name?" So I said, "No, it's just because we target men."
And you are a man.
Exactly, I'm a man. So that was funny about the brand name. So I made a hybrid between my last name and the name I mentioned. No, I think the thing which is important is to say that brand investment is not dedicated only for big companies. Now, in those days, we launched Menlook.com like 3 years ago. Today, we have 2.5 million uniques a month. We are the leading online department store for men. And since the beginning, what we thought about the service, especially because men's, for the fashion, they are very loyal to the destination. If you see where you buy your trousers, pants, shirts, you always buy from the same shop. So we thought that it was very important to organize our value proposition around 3 things. The first thing was the offer, because we are a retailer, and retailer relies on the offer. So to have the best mix and match to target the most to have the widest target. The second one was the service. I mean, Dominique Vidal told it this morning. It was a very impressive speech, but he's right. Amazon is fixing the bar. So when you launch an e-commerce company, the consumer now waits to have at least the same service than Amazon. And the third thing was the content. We have an amazing opportunity because, as everyone knows in this room, men's, they don't know how to dress. Okay? They don't have taste when they go in the shop, they go with their wife, they go with their kids because they need reinsurance in the way to buy. I know all the women in the room will recognize them in this situation. So we thought the content creation done by journalists, it was not content to be well positioned in Google. It was content to create the experience. We decided straight away to build the Menlook Tribune, which is our media destination integrated inside Menlook. So we became a company which is a kind of hybrid between the media destination and the commerce destination. And the impact was incredible. It was the first B2B impact, which was very powerful because thanks to that, we explained to the brands that it will be an incredible opportunity for them to be, first of all, distributed by us. And the second thing, to make some image for them and communication for them. And it's the reason why today we sell Nike and we sell Lanvin. Okay? And we stretch really from Nike to Lanvin and from Alexander McQueen to Calvin Klein. So this is the first thing. And the second thing, from a consumer perspective, it was very funny to see that because the experience on Menlook was a solo experience, because the guy is like behind his computer and alone behind his computer, the content helps him to project himself in a cut, in a brand, and after that to help the act of purchase. So that is the first thing. The second thing is we thought that today, 10 years ago, it was very difficult to broadcast the content. You had to go on TV, you had to go on outdoor, you had to go on print. It was very expensive. Today, through the social media, I mean, it's very easy to leverage the content. So the company has a double drive, let's say, which is the commerce and the content creation, and everything can be content creation. From the backstage of our buying session when we go to Milan, from the show, from the fashion, from the brands, and also from a consumer, when the consumer received the packaging, when we made a contest, which was a very funny contest, when we asked our clients to send some picture about what happened when they received the package. And the funny thing is, because we invested a lot in the package, you could think that the package is like a commodity. For us, it was not a commodity. Our package, when you open it, it's like you have tissue paper. Every tissue paper is, every product is wrapped in tissue paper. The tissue paper is branded. You have the Menlook Tribune, which is on top, and it has to be on top because the consumer, when he opened the box, the first thing he has to see is the Menlook Tribune. So everything is, and the Menlook Tribune is now in print. So we have a print copy of the Menlook Tribune. So we issue 4 a year, 100,000 copies per each issue. Just to tell you, we issue 100,000 copies. GQ in France is 50,000. So, and we set up like a distribution network. You can find the Menlook Tribune in the Air France Lounge, in the Eurostar, in the Four Seasons in Europe, everywhere when we can find our consumer and our target. So just to explain that it's not because you are a small business starting that you cannot invest like in a clever way to build your brand from something from the detail to something a little bit bigger.
I would love to jump
Sure.
in what you say
Sure.
with 2 comments, if you
Yeah.
are fine with it. Yeah, thank you.
We have 3
The
minutes.
first one is this idea that there's no more important moment than this honeymoon at the moment you are delivering the product and people are so happy to have bought the product. By the way, Apple has understood that in 1984 when conceiving the Macintosh with a computer saying hello and the box and so on. You see that ASOS did funny things also when delivering the content and so on. And by the way, a few years ago, when people were buying something new with a kind of explanation requested, they were going on their bed, honeymoon, to enjoy it. And this moment, the famous UMOT, the ultimate moment of truth that Brian Solis loves, is so important to create the shareable content that will then have some influence on the first moment of truth. But my second comment is a kind of advice. You should, if you are launching or if you have just launched your startup, you should think that you are a media. Of course, people are media, media are media, but your company is a media. What I like in your example is that you have immediately thought that you were launching a media with a strong editorial value, in addition to the offer, the price, the product, whatever, delivery. And I think that nowadays it's obvious to say, well, but every people is a media because of the social media, and every company is a media, but not so many companies are acting as a media when communication is information, is what you breathe and what you do every minute. So that's why editorial communication is so important. And so many companies are too much focused on advertorial, meaning funny things to be known, and not enough on what you are doing, which is editorial communication, meaning what people want, are interested in, want to talk about, and want to share on social media. And there is a great future for companies who have understood that editorial communication was the key, the future of communication tomorrow.
Yes, indeed, because now we're talking about aspirational brands. It's not only a branding, but also experience brands, as you said, Nicolas, also aspirational branding, as you were saying, Marc. I'm afraid we have to wrap up now. So just what I wanted to say to wrap up is that when it comes to brands, digital is not just a challenge or an opportunity. This is really a revolution. A couple of years ago, and the consumer packaged goods brands were the biggest in the world. We were talking about soap, we were talking about beverage. Today, the biggest brands in the world are electronics and internet. And this is representative of our lives. Every day we use electronics and internet. And this is also because brand ranking is a leading indicator of what's happening next. Well, what we see is that the digital revolution that happened for 10 years is just the beginning of what is being a global transformation. Again, because brand ranking is the leading indicator of what will happen over the next 10 years. So be prepared.